Blog Talk Radio.
Everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Real Combat Media Radio, the boxing news radio show of www.realcombatmedia.com. You can come visit us 24 hours a day, and if you've not already, feel free to follow us on Twitter at Real Combat Media, if you haven't already. Also, be sure to like our Facebook fan page, which is realcombatmedia.com. I'm your host from Manchester, England, John Campbell. I'm also on Twitter at BoxingJohnUK. And type in Boxing John UK on Facebook to find my fan page. Be sure to note, however, that my name is spelled J-O-N as opposed to J-O-H-N. Before we get started, I'd like to direct you to the Real Combat Media store located at www.realcombatmedia.com. Here we have a wide range of products for you to potentially purchase. We have the Elevation Mask, which is a lot of sports people use to replicate high altitude training. No longer will you have to travel out the way to the hills. There's also Alpha Brain, a great new product on the market which opens up your intellectual channels and allows you to enhance your brain to its true potential. Type in the code Real Combat Media when prompted and you'll receive 10% off all RCM store goods. If at any time you'd like to appear on the show, then feel free to call us on 347-324-5998 or send a tweet at Real Combat Media. Once again, I'm with my co-host all the way from the Bronx in New York, the Boxing Maniac. How's it going, dude?
I'm good, man. It's the Maniac. It's the Maniac. Excited for another show. Ready to give the fans what they want. And that's boxing talk.
Okay, we have a great show for you today, guys. We'll be speaking to Johnathon Banks and Mikey Garcia, who only last weekend won the WBO title at featherweight against Alonso Salido. Also, we'll be recapping the 2 fights from the weekend in Zinzorek versus Brian Vera and Matisse Dallas Jr., looking forward ahead of the IBF middleweight title fight between the 2 Australians, Daniel Gill and Anthony Mundine, and also the fight in Germany between former middleweight world champion Felix Sturm and Sam Solomon. Okay, we'll get straight to it and try and get Johnathon Banks on the phone, so bear with us, guys.
It was a great weekend of fights, guys. Looking forward to speaking about them fights. I know a lot of people very high on Mr. Medici. Looking forward to see where he goes from here on out, especially with that Danny Garcia injury. A lot of questions. So, yeah, the Danny Garcia fight with Judah supposedly being rescheduled for April 27th. So at least we know that fight is still there. And Judah still get his shot. And Danny Garcia will still get his chance. And if he wins that fight, hopefully we get the fight we all want. Matisse, Danny Garcia. The fight all fans, media, everyone calling for. Very excited. That fight should be, that'll be a bloody war. Bloody, bloody war. 2 warriors. Can't wait. Hopefully it's made this year. Hopefully.
Please leave your message for
Okay, guys, we can't get Jonathan Banks at the moment, so we're going to try and get Mikey Garcia. Bear with me.
Mikey Garcia. He put a hurting on Salido 2 weeks ago. He picked him apart like a Mr. Potato Head, piece by piece.
Okay, guys, we've got Mikey Garcia, newly crowned WBO featherweight champion. Okay, guys, we're getting a few technical difficulties with the call. We're going to try Jonathan Banks one more time, so bear with us.
Please leave your message for 31.
Bring me the iPod.
Hello, guys. I'm sorry, we had a few technical difficulties there. D, are you still there? D.
Yes, I'm here, John.
All right, D. Okay, we're going to start ahead. We're going to call Jonathan Banks back later. We're going to talk about the Garcia-Judah fight. But it looks like there's going to be a postponement, possibly of the whole card in April. What have you got to say about that, D?
Oh, man. I mean, it was phenomenal, man. Phenomenal. Great fights this week. Great fights. Medici. This is the fighter everyone's looking forward to. This is the fighter everyone's talking about. Besides Triple G, Medici is the fighter people want to see. He has that same kind of style, that killer mentality in the ring. He's going to come forward and he wants to break your bones. He wants to take your soul. It's like the Grim Reaper in there. But there's a lot of rumors. that he's scared of Danny Garcia. Not that he's scared of Danny Garcia, that Danny Garcia is scared of him. Now, what a coincidence that after the Medici fight, less than 24 hours later, we hear Danny Garcia sustains an injury in sparring. Now, the injury is legit. We know it's not a hoax, so we know he's not lying. But fans are feeling that he's trying to avoid Medici. Me, personally, absolutely not. Danny Garcia needs a fighter like Medici to get where he wants. Do you personally think he's ducking Medici?
Of course. Now, on the surface, it seems that he's bruised his ribs. That's what he's announced on Twitter. And his word from DeMarcus Chapchapkali that corroborates with this. But people think that there's some sort of conspiracy going on and try to undermine Garcia's character and credibility by saying a possible number of reasons have led to him postponing this fight and potentially cancelling this fight. Now, I think it's very possible that he's done this to avoid Medici. There's a lot of things that could happen this year which could completely remove the possibility of a Garcia-Medici fight altogether. Firstly, Medici could get beat by someone. Secondly, he could get another title shot and win another title, and then there won't be as much pressure on him to give Medici the shot. Moreover, I can understand this is the case and why he would want to avoid Medici, because the guy's an absolute beast. Like, come on, 31 knockouts out of 33 wins. He looks strong and he can box also. It seems a bit too much of a coincidence to me that this has come out so soon after a one-round destruction of Mike Ellis Jr. Would you agree, Dave?
I really feel that this is a fight that Danny needs. So why would he try to avoid Medici? I think Medici's the mandatory. So the winner of that Judah Garcia fight has to fight Medici or they vacate the belt. Why would Danny Garcia, if he beats Judah, why would he vacate and avoid Medici? Unless he's going to go up to 147 and fight a big money fight. But possibly who's at 147 that he could fight for a big money fight? Floyd Mayweather? It's not going to get a Floyd Mayweather fight. They both Al Heyman fighters. And a beaten Zab Judah wouldn't give him a stamp to fight. You know, it won't warrant him to fight a Mayweather at 147. So with that being said, I think it's important he fights Medici at 140, so he could be the true champ at 140.
Well, what I was thinking, D, is it's possible. I'm not sure whether I believe it or not, but it's very, very possible that he could be stalling time. He could delay the Judah fight until April. Meanwhile, Medici could get another title shot at a different belt, and he won't have as much pressure to fight him because Medici will be happy that he's got his belt. The only reason why people are shouting and screaming for Medici to get a title shot is because they know that he deserves it and they know that he's a really good fighter. But who knows, in 6 months' time, Medici could have a different belt, and then he won't be the mandatory for the WBC anymore. Do you not agree?
Yeah, but they obviously are 1 and 2 at the 140-pound division. You know, that fight will give us a unanimous number 1 at 140. And I think it's a fight that I don't think Danny's a fighter at this point in his career where he could, you know, say, I'm a boy Medici. That's a fight he needs. Yes, Danny Garcia had great knockout against Morales, 2 good wins against him, actually. You know, a great knockout against Amir Khan. Yes, quality wins. Some people feel Morales was a washed-up fighter. I mean, I wouldn't say washed up. I say past his prime year. Because Morales fought a phenomenal fight against Marcos Maidana. He went 12 rounds with Maidana when Maidana was considered the most dangerous fighter. And he went 12 rounds. And then after that, Morales fights a young fighter and Pablo Cano and stops him. And then the same fighter that most people felt got robbed against Paulie Malignaggi. So if Morales was so washed up, them 2 fights that I just mentioned he he would have had no chance against him. He would have got put to sleep. But Danny Garcia knocks him out. All of a sudden, he's a washed-up fighter. But, that's something a lot of, boxing heads, will argue back and forth. Just my opinion. And Amir Khan, that was a great win for Danny. Now he's going against Judah. And I really feel that with the Judah win, he's going to take on Matisse. And he has a great shot of beating a fighter like Lucas Matisse. It's kind of down his alley. He's a fighter that's going to come forward. There's going to be open for shots. And Danny Garcia, when he wants, he could box on his toes. So I think he's a better boxer overall.
I completely agree, and I think Garcia needs to fight Matisse for credibility. Not that he needs credibility as a fighter. I'm not saying he's uncredible. I'm saying a win against Matisse puts him down there, makes him an even bigger star than what he already is. I agree with you when you said about the Eric Morales fight. I think Eric Morales was washed up, but at the same time, people don't give Garcia as much credit. He still beat a really good, experienced fighter. And at the time, he was a world champion because he stopped Pablo Cesar Cano. He was going to be a great fighter. He was only in his early 20s, much younger, experienced, skillful fighter. And he also got the win against Khan, which, despite the fact that Khan was on his way to a points decision, in my opinion, he still got the shot, so he still knows that he can mix it with his top guys. The reason why I would say he's stalling is for money. Maybe he wants to get another 2 or 3 big money fights in before he risks getting beat by Matisse. Because if he gets beat by Matisse, then his stock falls and he won't be earning as much money for his future fights. Now, maybe he wants Matisse to get a different belt so we can have a big unification fight and try and get a couple of million in the bank before he actually risks it. Do you agree?
Yeah, very possible. We know that boxing now has become a business more than anything. And I know Danny Garcia, he's looking for all the big paydays he can get, especially in this business where, promoters are robbing a lot of these fighters. And these fighters end up, after fights with really nothing. So, yeah, absolutely. He's looking for them big fights. And Matisse's a big fight. Just imagine Danny Garcia beats a Lucas Matisse. I mean, how high the ceiling becomes for him. Now he becomes one of the hottest boxers in boxing. The big money fights are going to be there. Danny Garcia, when you look at him, he's a big for a junior welterweight. I definitely see him in the near future as a welterweight. So there'll be fights up there for him to fight. At the moment, there's only one big fight for him, and that's Mayweather. He's definitely not going to get a Mayweather fight. Can't mention Pacquiao because we already know the feud between Golden Boy and Top Rank. So we can't mention that. So, Lamont Peterson just signed with Golden Boy today. That's breaking news. I mean, that's a fight that could be in the future. The win of Kendall Holt, Lamont Peterson probably gets Matisse, or the winner of Judah Garcia. But I really want the fight that everybody else wants in 140. The only fight right now that makes the most sense is Danny Garcia and Matisse. I have respect for both fighters. Both are monster punchers. Both come and bring it. Both are exciting fighters. Both are going to give you your money's worth. So with that being said, they need a fight, and they need a fight this year. I don't want this prolonged anymore. I don't care if it's in December, September, let it happen, and let it happen this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think they should follow the trend of the best actually fighting the best. We're hearing talk of Trout Canelo. We've already got Daenerys Rigondeaux signed. The best need to fight the best to find out who is the best. And I'm not saying that Garcia necessarily is ducking Matisse. What I am saying, though, is that maybe he wants to stall it and prolong it as a way of making more money through previous fights. And then the fight will be a bigger draw when it comes to happen in early 2014, or maybe even, as you said, September, October, December time. He might want to get another 1 or 2 fights in before then to earn as much money so he knows that he can retire comfortably. Now, Judah's been all over Twitter calling him a faker, and I understand why he isn't happy, but I don't think he's going the right way about it. I think complaining over Twitter is not going to make the situation any better. Just relax for a month or two and get back into training camp when you need to. Do what you've got to do. And you've still got a big title shot at the Barclays Centre. What do you make of Judah's comments?
Yeah, Judah is this born again Christian, but then again he's on Twitter, ranting and saying, being disrespectful. Kind of makes you think like, wow, is this guy really, a church guy, or this is, he's really the Judah we all know him to be. The Brooklyn, straight say whatever he wants kind of fighter. It's true. The main thing is this. He doesn't need to complain. The fight is canceled for February 9th, but it's being rescheduled. So he's still getting his shot against Danny Garcia. If Danny Garcia was looking for a way out against Zab Judah, the fight in the whole would be gone completely. They're still going to fight April 27th. So what Zab Judah needs to do is just zip his mouth, get in there, and hope he don't get his ass knocked out April 27th. Or he, mentally, get his mental game up, because we know how he likes to mentally check out in fights, a la Victor Ortiz. So, Danny Garcia's injury, it's a legit injury. People can say what they want. It's legit. He showed pictures of it, and it's nothing we could do about it. It happens. It happens all the time. We see it, Andre Ward, for example. There's a couple of his fights got postponed because of injury. And we see what he done when he comes back. It's a war contusion, which is a bruised rib cage. It's going to take him about 4 to 6 weeks to recover. So April 27th is still going to be on Barclays Center. Everybody be there. I'll be there, rooting for Danny Garcia to do what he does, and that's knock people out.
Yep, all right. Now I'm going to try and get Jonathan Banks on one more time. Bear with me.
Yeah, I know everyone wants that Garcia.
Please leave your message.
And hopefully we'll get it this year. Zab Judah's upset. Can't blame him. I know he put a lot into this training camp, understanding that this is his last hurrah. And I'm losing here to Danny Garcia, take him back to solo boxeo fights and Friday night fights. That's not where you want to be as a fighter. You want to be on these big networks, Showtime and the HBOs. So this is definitely Zab Judah's last hurrah.
We've got a dedicated caller who's been on hold for 10 minutes, so I'm going to give him his chance to speak. Hello, you're on Real Combat Media. How's it going?
Hey, how you guys doing? What's up, Sean?
Yep. What's your name and where are you from?
My name is, I'm from Connecticut. Sean knows me. It's me, Pound for Pound Vic. What's up?
Pound for Pound Vic, man. What's going on, Vic? Let us know. What do you think about the, Danny Garcia situation and possibly a fight with him and Medici down the road?
I mean, that's the fight we all want to see. I mean, I think the best two guys are 140. Some people put Rios in there, but I think they're the best two. But, Danny's hurt. He showed the picture today, and these guys break their balls in the gym to, make their money. And if they're hurt, they can't go out and risk it, And hopefully, Danny heals and goes and knocks Judah out, and we could see him and Lucas down the road at the end of the year.
Yeah, let me clarify that, guys. Because you just mentioned something interesting. For all those who think that Danny Garcia is pouring out of respect to the coward, Zab Judah in particular, Danny Garcia has released a photograph on Instagram with his bruised ribs. He said, "This is the problem. We're rescheduling the fight. It's good to go. I've just got this problem with my ribs." Now, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. What's your name?
Victor.
Pound for Pound Vic. Anybody listening, follow my good friend, man, at Pound for Pound Vic. Real good boxing head. Loves boxing and big 49er fan.
Yeah, man.
I'm sorry, I have to mute the call there. There was quite a lot of noise coming from that. Do you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, we'll get him back on soon, but there's too much noise coming from his end. We've got another caller that I'd like to get on.
Yeah.
Hello, how's it going? You're on Real Combat Media Radio.
Hello.
Yeah, what's your name and where you from?
Dave from the Bronx.
Oh, Dave, what's going on, Dave? How you doing? It's another good friend of mine, John. So, Dave, we were just speaking about, the Matisse, Danny Garcia, possibly match up in the future, and the injury of Danny Garcia. What's your thoughts on the whole situation?
I'm pissed off that the fight is being postponed, but I'm happy that it's still going on also. It's going to go on in April 27th, they're saying. I'm glad because I want to see Danny take care of Judah and add him on to the list and then bring on Matisse. We got to bring on Matisse because they keep talking about Amir Khan, a rematch in the fall, and bro, Danny destroyed this guy in 4 rounds. He needs to get his weight back up, and hopefully he can get a shot somewhere down the line. But Matisse is the fight. Matisse is the fight that we need to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, hopefully it happens, You made a good point with the Amir Khan rematch. It's a fight no one wants to see. But once again, this business, it's all about money. And that'll be a big money fight for Danny Garcia. So, I don't want to see it. Nobody else wants to see it. But it's a fight that might happen. You know why? Because it's a big money fight. But hopefully not, and we get the fight we all want to see. Matisse, Danny.
Hopefully we get that.
Okay, thank you very much for your contribution there, but we've got to move on. I'm going to try one last time to get Jonathan Banks on the phone, and hopefully he'll be with us and he'll be able to talk about both his win over Seth Mitchell and his future rematch with Seth Mitchell. Let's see what he's got to say.
Yeah, hopefully we can get Jonathan Banks on the phone. Apparently we having trouble reaching him. Get this interview. Got a couple of things to ask him. So hopefully we get him on.
Welcome to Real Combat Media Radio. How's it going?
This is Steven. This is Jonathan's assistant.
Okay. Well, Steven, welcome to Real Combat Media. You're live on the air. Are we able to get Jonathan Banks on the phone sometime in the next night?
Well, yeah, the number that I gave, I have a direct line for you to reach him.
Okay.
If you would like it. But I don't want to give it over the air.
Let me just take you off mute. Deke, can't talk about Judah and Garcia for a while. Keep the fans entertained.
All right, yeah, so once again, it's been a hot topic all weekend with the Matisse Garcia. It's a fight we all want to see. Should be a great fight. Believe it's a fight, both fight. It needs to happen. These are the kind of fights that revive boxing. Not that it's dead, but we know it's suffered a lot of black and blues here and there. And they both, it's no problem. They both Golden Boy fighters. So it's not a fight that it's hard to make. It's a fight that can happen. We need it to happen. And fans on Twitter, we need to express it. We need to tweet Danny Garcia. We need to tweet Oscar De La Hoya. And apparently it worked with Malignaggi and Mosley. When we heard they was in a fight, everybody was trashing Malignaggi and not really disrespecting him, but, fans spoke out. And we was letting them know how we felt. And now Malignaggi saying he doesn't want that fight. So that works, man. The voice of the people works. So that we need to put in that work on Twitter and let Danny Garcia know the fight we want. And that's Luke.
Okay, we're sorting out the Johnathon Banks right now, I'd like to just stop this proceedings for just a moment and give a shout out to Real Combat Media Stop World Hunger, which can be found at www.realcombatmedia.com. The Post-Harvest Project provides aid in the form of technology to farms and fisheries in deprived areas. Right, for now, we're going to move on straight to the fights of last weekend, starting off with Zinzorek Vera. Now, Vera beat Zinzorek in a 10th round stoppage. After outworking him, I'd say, now, D, you predicted Vera to win this fight. I had Zinzorek winning the landslide decision. Are you surprised in any way how the fight turned out? Because I was quite surprised.
I wasn't surprised at all. Well, when we look at Zinzorek's last fights, ever since Sergio Martinez, Zinzorek has not been the same. He went in there, he fought Jonathan Gonzalez, an up-and-coming prospect, not much experience. Zinzorek, a seasoned veteran, had a great amateur background, and wasn't able to outbox a Jonathan Gonzalez. And in fact, most people, including myself, felt he lost that fight. Yes, Jonathan Gonzalez came in overweight. There was a lot of, the fight was going to even happen and end up happening. But Gonzalez, to me, still won that fight. And Zinzorek did not look impressive. And now he fights Vera last Friday. And what happened? My goodness. The guy caught a beating. He cannot stop that right hand. Vera landed it over and over and over. Couldn't keep Vera off him. And he just broke him down until he couldn't take it no more. And now Zinzorek back to Europe. He's done.
Yeah, I really think that Zinzorek should retire because he was a shell of himself. He looked old in there. And it's quite surprising that only a couple of fights ago, he was the world champion at light middleweight. I don't know whether it's the move up in weight or age is finally starting to catch up to him, but Sergey did show glimmers of class with his counterpunching, but not as much and not as often as he should be to actually put rounds in the bank. Vera performed really well. He applied constant calculated pressure to Sergey, and he'd done it in a much more wiser, more informed way than I've seen Vera do usually. For example, against Sergio Mora, I sort of blame that loss to Mora. I think Mora would have both those fights for the taking. I think I might have underrated Vera. He did a real good job coming forward, getting the reaction from Zinzorek, and then throwing the right hand, not just throwing the right hand as a pot shot, actually getting the reaction and getting the opening on Zinzorek's guard to put the right hand through. But as you said, he opened the right hand at will pretty much. Do you see any coming back from this for Sergey Zinzorek?
Wow. Just like I just mentioned about a couple of seconds ago, it's back to Europe for Zinzorek. No network is going to want to put him on. This was a fight where it could have helped him out and possibly put him back in the mix. And this is the fight he has to win, against the Brian Vera. Brian Vera, he's a tough fighter. He's a veteran. But a fight that Zinzorek has to win. And apparently, like you say, he looked real old in there. He was getting hit.
D, I'm going to have to stop you there, pal. I think we've finally got Johnathon Banks. Apparently he's waiting for us, so we're going to get him on the air and talk to him.
All right.
Hello, Mr. Banks. Welcome to Real Combat Media Radio. How's it going?
Everything's good. How are you?
Yeah, you're welcome to the show. I'm going to pass you on to my co-host, D, from the Bronx. D, take it away. The floor is yours.
Hey, Mr. Banks, I want to thank you for your time. I know with 2 weeks left to your fight, you're cramming a lot into, your last preparations into your fight with Seth Mitchell.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man. Let's get into it. Bank, Seth Mitchell isn't the first fighter you'll be fighting for the second time in your career. You fought Sebastian Hill in 2006. And in your second fight with him, it ended it like the first one by knockout. Do you see the same thing happening to Seth Mitchell in the rematch?
Yeah, I have no reason to think otherwise. So, yeah, I see the same thing happening again in the second fight.
Yeah. And in your first fight with Seth Mitchell, Banks, he seemed like he couldn't really take his shots. Do you think he's gonna try to move more in this fight and try to box you, or you just see yourself walking him down and repeating the same thing from the first fight?
That's really kind of hard to judge at this point, but I know that he's going to change up a lot of things. So he's saying he's going to change a lot of things. He's going to be a different Seth Mitchell, and I believe that he will be different. But different how, I'm just really not sure. And I really won't find that out till the bell rings. But I think he is gonna do some different things. I may have to be the attacker. I may not have to be. But whatever has to be inside that square circle, I'm fully capable of being.
All right, cool. It was obviously that HBO was backing Seth Mitchell heavily. He had a couple of HBO fights in a row, and until he walked into you. Do you feel that Golden Boy overlooked you and felt that Seth Mitchell would have beat you?
Man, of course. I don't think they would have took the fight the first time if they didn't think he could beat me. So I really thought they really believed in Seth Mitchell, and they have every right to do so. You know, big strong guy coming through, knocking guys out. They have every right to believe in their fighter. But so yes, they really thought and really was prepared for him to get a victory that night. They were dependent on his punching power to give him a victory. That didn't happen. And I really, it's the heavyweight division. I think anybody's one punch can end another of their opponent's night if it landed correctly. But in my opinion, I mean, I hope not to get caught with that big punch and land my big punch.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's definitely monsters up in that heavyweight division. Seth Mitchell, he's an up-and-coming, fighter. He had a setback with the loss to you. But there's also two up-and-coming American heavyweights. We have Brian Jennings and Deontay Wilder. Now, it's those two fights. Yeah, absolutely. And you guys is doing good as far as, American heavyweights go. Just seem like, we've been lost for a while. But we have very solid heavyweights and, up and coming as well. We had Deontay Wilder on our show last week. And he said he wants to beat all the American heavyweights first before he goes into Europe. Is Deontay Wilder a fight that you'd be willing to take down the road?
That's a good gesture of him. Deontay Wilder, he also is a good friend of mine. You know what I'm saying? We spend a lot of time at camp together, and he's a very, very intelligent guy. So I think about it, why not take on the best in America before you take on the best in the world? You know what I'm saying? That's the best thing to do as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying? That's the best avenue to go to. You know what I'm saying? He's an intelligent dude, so I take my hat off to him for saying that, definitely. But, of course, I mean, I'm in the fight business. That's the business I'm in. I mean, as far as American heavyweight goes, if that's what I have to come down to, then I'm fully ready and capable of doing it.
All right. That's what I like. I like that. Hey, it's a business at the end of the day, right? Whatever's going to pay the bills. If the money is right.
You got that right.
Yeah,
you got that right.
Yeah, I know. Man, I'm going forward. Are you going to be Vladimir Klitschko's permanent trainer? And if so, how do you juggle you being a full-time fighter and a trainer?
Well, to answer your question, yes, I am Vladimir Klitschko's full-time trainer. That is correct. How do you juggle it? I mean, it's difficult. It's more difficult to say how than to show you how. It's easier to show you how than more difficult to tell you how. You know what I'm saying? Because I was able to do it. But it's a simple situation of it's just switching your mental game. It's switching back and forth. It's making adjustments. I always believe that the best fighter makes the best adjustments. So therefore, I have to make an adjustment. At this point in time, I'm not a trainer. I'm a fighter. I'm not trying to act like a trainer. I'm not trying to be a trainer. I'm only trying to be a fighter. When Vladimir Klitschko does have his fight, I'm going to be strictly a trainer. I'm not going to be a fighter. I'm not going to think like a fighter. I'm going to think like a trainer. That's the thing about it. Most trainers say, you know what, I just picture myself in the ring with my fighter. I don't. I'm happy to be in the corner. Most fighters in the ring fighting. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, as far as the mental aspect of it, as long as you have that correct, then everything will be good.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, man, because, to put that switch on, man, that much respect for that. I bet not too many people could do that.
Thank you.
Got to be mentally strong, man, for that. Last year, unfortunately, we lost a lot of big names in boxing. And Emmanuel Stewart was your trainer. And I just want you to elaborate. Yeah, I just want you to elaborate. How did the death of the great Emmanuel Stewart affect you? Vladimir as well, and the whole Crump Gym family in general.
It affected everyone. It was a huge impact on everybody because he was so close to the fighters. We spent so many years around them. Keeping in mind, this was a guy who introduced me to the world of boxing, who took me to the big-time stage of boxing, you know what I'm saying, who taught me and took me to my first training camp with Leonard Lewis, and seeing him fly to Big Bear training Oscar De La Hoya, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that, you know what I'm saying. So with that, with him teaching me so much and that me being so influential, spending days, weeks, months at a time, right? And also, I used to live in the same house with him. Our room was right across the hall from each other for years. So, I mean, it put a big damper on you, man. It's a big hurt that you won't be able to just, walk off or nothing like that. But the only thing I could do is just continue to try to cherish him in his memory. Really.
Yeah, man, I know. Yeah, I met, I had the pleasure of meeting him, and he was a great guy, man. He spoke to you like you knew him for years. So I could just imagine, you was close to him, probably like a father figure to you.
Exactly. That's the exact words I could use.
So I know a lot of you learned from him. You kind of put that into your training. So I know that's definitely, that had to be a pleasure just to, be around him and pick his brain and just see how he changed fighters for the better.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah.
Now, also, we also know your only loss to your career is to Thomas Adamek, but that was at cruiserweight. At heavyweight, you undefeated. Yeah. Do you see yourself maybe, saying, what, I want to avenge this loss, kind of like Steve Cunningham and Adamek, where they fought at cruiserweight. Steve Cunningham lost a close fight, and they ended up fighting at heavyweight, and a lot of people felt he got robbed in that fight. But is that a fight you'll be willing to take as well, Adamek at heavyweight?
Most definitely. Adamek is definitely a good fighter, and I definitely would want to revenge that loss because that's the situation. Even though it happened at cruiserweight, I would want to revenge the loss at heavyweight, definitely. And plus, it was. I thought it was a good fight. Overall, it was a good fight, and the public. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, and the public likes to see good fights, man. So, in my opinion, I would love to make it happen.
That's good. Love the mentality, them good fights. That's why we want to see the best fight the best. Now, another question I have. What's your general outlook of the heavyweight division? Some fans, some writers feel like it's a weak division. For me, myself, I feel it's a division with a lot of potential.
Man, it got so much potential. It used to be a weak division. It used to be. But as a fan of boxing, the heavyweight division is full of talent and it's coming back stronger than ever.
It is. It definitely is. I mean, just
it's
to make,
strong enough. We got it's too much talent for it not to be coming back strong.
you know, I mean, just to name some names, we have, you know, Areola, Laverne, Tesora, Hayes, Fury, you know, Paveckin, Hellenius, Cunningham, yourself, you know, up and coming, Wilder, Jennings. I mean, it's a deep division. You mix and match. We get a lot of solid fights at heavyweight.
It's a deep division, and that's what makes everything more exciting because the heavyweight division is back deep again. Usually it wasn't a deep division, but now it is. It's a deep division, and it's about to be on the cracking, man. It's a beautiful, and I'm looking forward to all the exciting heavyweight matchups that happen now.
Yeah, definitely. I like, you know, I like the heavyweight division. It has, you know, it's deep. Also, I know this is, you know, I'm just kind of throwing it out there. Now, if the money is right, would you get in the ring with a Klitschko?
Say that one more time.
I said, if the money is right, would you get in the ring with a Klitschko, or that's an off limit?
I think that's one of the off-limit situations because just the simple fact of not only that I'm the trainer of Vladimir, is that we've formed like a family bond over all these years. You know, most of my years spent with him was all at cruiserweight. I was 1-0 when I got with him, so I spent my entire career cruiserweight with him. You know what I'm saying? So we never thought anything other because we was always together. So, I mean, I just think it's something we formed something that's kind of bigger than boxing, and I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I respect that, man. You know, I respect that much. Now, just one question also. If we know it ain't gonna never happen, but if you seen both Klitschko's up front and personal, if they were to fight, who would you pick, Banks? Be honest. You seen them both fight. If you have to put money,
I would have to plead the fifth on that question. I couldn't even answer it. I would have to plead the fifth on that question, man. I would have to because I could just picture them both looking at me right now. You know, looking at me right now, waiting on me to say something.
They be like, you better not. Man. Yeah, man, that's
are
good.
Too competitive, man. I'm telling you.
Nah, yeah, I mean, and they also good role models, man. I mean, them guys, true professionals, man. And you yourself, man, I like the way you carry yourself.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
No, you know, and now with, you know, let's just think ahead a little bit. Let's say you beat Seth Mitchell. Who are you looking for next?
Well, that I really don't know. It just depends on it just depends on all the circumstances. It really strongly depends on the circumstances because I make my adjustments to whoever's put in front of me. So my goal is to be heavyweight champion of the world. So whatever top 10 contender or top 2, top 3 contenders I have to face after that, then I'm more than willing to do it. But as far as giving names, I really don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Because it doesn't matter if that's what you're trying to get to. It doesn't matter who I fight. You know what I'm saying? As long as I'm fighting the top contender, that's fine with me.
Absolutely. Now, are you willing to go overseas if that opportunity arises?
I don't see why not. I mean, I spent so many years over there. I'm telling you, that's like a second home. So I don't see why not.
Yeah. All right. That's good, man. That's definitely great there, man. And definitely, you know, my last question, non-boxing related. Who you like in the Super Bowl? Baltimore 49ers.
You know what? I'm mad at San Francisco because they beat my Giants in baseball in the World Series. So I'm going with Baltimore, man.
Oh, come on, Banks, man. I'm a Niner, man. How you going? All right, man. I understand. And then, you know, being you from Michigan, So what are you? You a spine or a Wolverine?
Oh my goodness, that's funny. You know what? Mainly, I'm a Wolverine because of Charles Woodson. Charles
There you
Woodson
go.
got me a big fan of Michigan State, so yeah, I'm a Wolverine. But you know, I like the East Spartans too. That's cool.
All right. Yeah, I'm a big Michigan fan, a big 49er fan. But you know, Banks, man, I want to thank you very much for your time, man. It was a pleasure.
Hey,
You're a good guy.
All mine, man, definitely.
Yeah. You know, looking forward to your fight in 2 weeks. Good luck, and, you know, hopefully we can get you back on the show.
Well, just call me. I'm more than happy to do the show, whatever you call, man, definitely.
I appreciate that, Mr. Banks, and you have a good evening.
No problem, man. No problem. You too. You have a good evening.
All right. Bye.
Okay, guys, Johnathon Banks, the slayer of Seth Mitchell, the trainer of heavyweight champion Vladimir Klitschko, and a potential future heavyweight champion himself. Do you think this guy's got potential to go and take the belts once the Klitschkos have retired, as he said that he's not going to fight them, do?
I'm sorry, John. I
said, Johnathon Banks, do you think this guy's a potential world champion? As he said, he's not going to fight Vladimir Klitschko or Vitaly.
You know, you watch Johnathon Banks fight, man. This guy definitely has a lot of potential, and you know, hopefully he gets this opportunity after this Seth Mitchell fight. You know. And he said, he lived overseas pretty much his second home, so he'll be willing to go overseas, whether it be against a Povetkin, any other the big names in Europe. You know, obviously he made it clear he won't fight no Klitschko, and you don't blame him. It's a bond, they had, and it's okay. It's understandable. But, I just have to throw that question out there just in case because, money talks at the end of the day.
Okay, D. We've got a Real Combat Media correspondent coming on the air. His name's Nick Bellafato from California. Nick, how's it going? You're live on the air.
Hey, John. How you doing? I was eavesdropping on your conversation, and everything sounds good. And, I could have swore I thought I heard Banks talk before at one point, maybe some time back, and said he was willing to fight one of the Klitschkos, but I could be wrong, but I guess he cleared the air on that one.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you make of Johnathon Banks? Do you think he's a potential heavyweight champion of the world in a couple of years' time?
I haven't seen enough of him, but, him being a coach as well as a fighter, that gives him a bit more of an advantage, to better himself because he knows what he has to do in there. He knows if he makes mistakes, so on and so forth. But I'm not big on the heavyweight division as opposed to what I was hearing. I just grew up at a time when you had the Alis and the Nortons and the Holmeses, and I just don't see those type of fighters right now. I just don't. So I'm not big on the heavyweight division, but I did watch him fight Seth Mitchell, and I did want to comment on that. I thought that Seth Mitchell is a football player, and he's been so for such a long time that the fundamentals of boxing haven't really sunk in for him under competitive circumstances. I mean, you could see in the fight, Johnathon Banks, he's a boxer. He's rotating the shoulders. He's turning on his punches. He's doing those fundamentals that you get from coming up in boxing. Whereas Mitchell, he might be able to do that stuff, in floor work or on the bags, but not executing the fundamentals in the ring. And I think other football players and their forays into boxing haven't been successful because they've trained so long at doing football. There is an adjustment that you have to make as far as boxing, and I think playing football for so long and coming into boxing just doesn't set in fundamentally. I think we'll see the same results over time.
Okay, before we move on, I just want to go back to the Zinzoric Vera quickly and just put this to you, D. Now, Brian Vera, what's next for Brian Vera now he's won? We said what's next for Zinzoric, he said back to Europe. Now, Vera's been calling out Gennady Golovkin, and in most scenarios, I'd say not yet. perform like that against the guy that's established in the top 10, and then we'll talk. But in this situation, I'm thinking, why not Vera Golovkin? If the guy's willing to fight Golovkin, he's braver than most men, because most guys don't want to fight him. And Vera's as big as an opposition as anyone that Golovkin's fought. So do you think this is a viable fight for Golovkin?
Wow. See, it's a fight that we know Vera is willing to take. Why? It's a money fight. It'll be on HBO. Why not? But it's a fight that, it just plays perfect into Golovkin's hands. Vera's going to come forward and throw them punches. And I think, Golovkin at this moment is just a better all-around fighter than Vera is. Minus the power. We've seen James Kirkland knock out Vera. Punches like that. And we know Golovkin is more fundamentally sound than the James Kirkland is. So I think, it's a fight that it'll be good while it lasts. And I don't think it's going to last long. If it goes more than 3 rounds, I'll be shocked. But it's a fight that's perfect for Golovkin. Kind of similar to Nonito Donaire, Jorge Arce. It's a perfect style matchup for Donaire, but you knew that Arce was going to try to bring it while it lasts. I see the similar situation for Brian Vera against a Triple G.
Yeah, now moving on to the next fight, we had a 1-round destruction handed by Lucas Matisse to Mike Dallas Jr. Now, I predicted Matisse middle rounds. We all predicted Matisse. We said that Dallas was a game fighter, but he didn't have the skills and he didn't have the durability to get past Matisse. Providing he did go 12 rounds, we knew that he wasn't going to win on the scorecard or by knockout. Now, what do you make of this fight, D? Because, we all knew that Matisse was going to win this fight and we're going to win it convincingly, but it was a first-round destruction. Did you expect that at all?
I'd be lying if I say I expected him to win a first-round knockout. In the fashion, the way he did, he kind of he Manny Pacquiao Dallas Jr. He made him kiss the canvas. He went face first. And it looked really bad. It looked really bad. And we spoke early in the show. Matisse has proven he has power. He's knocked down every opponent he's fought, whether win or lose. So we know that power is there. Now, Mike Dallas Jr., early on, you've seen the reach, you've seen the speed. You say, wow, this guy got potential. But I felt that he was just too much in a rush. I think if he just would have settled down more, he would have been okay. But once again, when you're in the ring with a fighter like Lucas Matisse, it's hard to be calm. And he just got caught, and it was, early night for him. And Matisse, without a question, is the number 2 junior welterweight behind Danny Garcia. It's a fight that needs to happen, not only because they're 1 and 2 in the division, because this is what the fans want, and it's only right. The winner of that fight will be the unanimous number 1 fighter at junior welterweight, and that's what we need. And it just helps boxing as a whole, because we know that fight is going to be like the 4th of July. Nothing but fireworks. Nothing but fireworks. So it's a fight that needs to happen.
Yeah. The thing is, the fight didn't particularly start one-sided. I know it barely lasted 2 minutes, but they were both just sort of feeling each other out. Dallas Jr. was showing the reach, as you said, really good hand speed. He seemed to have a very good hand speed advantage over Matisse, and he was trying to keep the distance with his jab. He was throwing 2 or 3 jabs at a time, and all of a sudden, he threw one jab out a bit later, and Matisse crushed his jaw. He'd done a Muhammad Ali. He went back and then ripped a right hand straight to his head, and the guy crumbled from there. But the ferocious thing about Matisse was that even though the guy was out cold, he continued to throw about 4 or 5 punches while they were going down. I'm really excited to see Matisse face top-level opposition in 2013. And I think I think it's a shame the Garcia and Matisse may not happen, and if so, still postponed from where we thought it could happen. Nick, what do you make of Matisse?
You know what? He had the power. What I was impressed with, and I think he's getting better, just skill. I mean, it's not what he did. He did it. I mean, that was a little Jersey Joe Walcott there. I mean, he turned away from the jab, came right back with that right hand. So, I mean, you knew the power was there, but he just had a little herky-jerk move, like old classic move. And I thought Dallas would do better. Now, sitting ringside, I can hear Virgil Hunter say, hey, settle down, settle down. I mean, in hindsight, you don't know what would have happened, but I thought maybe he would have done better if he fought scared, like he was going to get knocked out, you can't tell. But I thought Dallas would put on a better showing, but I also said he didn't have room for one mistake, and that's all it took. Like you said, brought his jab back down late, brought it back low. That was it. Sitting ringside, his gloves were really small gloves. I didn't. One shot, I knew something would happen.
Okay, before we move on, we're going to take one more caller, and then we're going to move on to the second half of the show. Hello, you're live on Real Combat Media. What's your name and where are you from? Hello, you're live on Real Combat Media. Raise your chance. Nope, the guy didn't want to talk to us. Okay, we've got plenty of other results from the weekend. On the 25th in Delaware, American heavyweights Amir Hardcore Mansour and Franklin Lawrence kept themselves in contention with early knockouts. On Saturday, on the Matisse undercard, Selçuk Aydin had his second consecutive loss when he was beat on points by Jesus Soto Karass. On the undercard of that was the 2012 US Olympian Errol Spence, who won his third straight pro fight against Nathan Butcher. In Morelia, Mexico, Jorge Paez Jr. extended his record to 33-4-1 with a win over Francesco Fuentes. In Chihuahua, Mexico, Hugo Fidel Cazares beats Ray Perez. And also, women's action, Saturday the 26th, saw women's pound-for-pound star Jessica Bock win a 23rd consecutive undefeated win and defended her WBA and WBO light flyweight titles against Marisa Portillo. Okay, moving on. This weekend we have an all-Australian clash for the IBF middleweight title. It's a rematch from 2009. Daniel Geale defending his title once again against Anthony Mundine. Now, what are your first impressions when this fight got made, D? Because it was a very, very close fight 3 years ago.
Yeah, the first fight, a lot of people felt it could have gone either way. Mundine edged out Daniel Geale, which is the only loss on his record. So I like this. I like this fight for Daniel Geale. He's kind of, say, look, man, I want to avenge this loss. And he had mentioned after this fight he does want to come to the States. And, hopefully, market himself here in the U.S. for bigger fights. And the Mundine fight is going to be, should be another close fight. Daniel Geale has gotten better since then. And I think he pulls it out this time, John. I really do think he wins this fight second time around.
Yeah, this is the situation. They're both quite closely matched fighters, and it's a big rivalry in Australia. When they fought for the first time in 2009, it was like Mundine appeared to be the bigger name fighter based on the commentary. I think the commentary very much favoured Mundine, and earlier on in the fight, I think Geale was getting pretty much the best of it. I did him winning, say, 3 or 4 of the first 5 rounds, besides the Mundine knockdown of Geale in the second round. But I still think Geale took that round based on sheer boxing. Mundine's a lot more. He's a bit more slick, a bit more skillful, but in the conventional sense in comparison to Geale. But Geale puts a lot of work in. He wins through work rate, and it somewhat reminds me of Robert Stieglitz. He doesn't box exactly like Stieglitz. He likes to get inside a bit more, but he tries to win on sheer attrition and volume, and then sway the judges in that way. Now, Nick, what do you make of this fight?
Well, I noticed a lot of pre-fight stuff that was going on with, racial kind of stuff between them and who's what, and in Australia. I haven't seen too much of Mundine, but I did see Gil. He's got to have confidence beating the guy in Germany and taking his title. His name escapes me right now. I watched that fight where he got his title in Germany, and he did what he had to do. I'd like him in this fight if he probably has a good game plan, knows what he has to do. Like you guys are saying, it'll probably be a good fight. He might have been a smart move, not taking Golovkin on it this time, because I know the WBA wanted to clear up that mess where they both had WBA titles, and he relinquished his, and now he's got Mundine. Probably a big fight in Australia. I like Gil in this one.
Mhm. Yeah, I think Gil's going to outwork Mundine, and I think he's going to correct the things that went wrong in the last fight. The last fight, I had him winning quite a way through the bout until the last sort of 3 or 4 rounds when the bout slowed down. Gil didn't necessarily get tired, but his work rate drops, and Mundine was allowed to pick him off with his slip counter shots. Now, there's been a lot of aggro, especially in the recent press conference. We've had Mundine's nutritionist talking about Mundine's rock-hard abs and that Daniel Gil's going to break his hand on Mundine's abs. The press conference was crazy. Mundine claims to be the best athlete ever. He's called out Floyd Mayweather without necessarily doing the wins that will deserve it. He's also brought race into the issue. That's something that Nick touched upon. He talks about he's always overlooked in terms of boxing because he's an Aboriginal Australian, and also he said when he played rugby league when he was younger, he also got overlooked from the big teams, and no one really gave him a chance because of his race. Now, when fighters bring up race and sports people bring up race into the situation, do you see it relevant, or do you see it as more of he's forcing that issue as opposed to actually being an issue in the 21st century?
Well, a lot of people are very passionate. A lot of people feel that they get, blackballed, or they don't get opportunities because of, their race. Now, some people do it for publicity. Some people really mean it. I mean, in this case, Mundine feels like, to me, I just think it's more of a publicity stunt than anything, but I really, I'm Puerto Rican myself, and we have a big rivalry with Mexico in boxing, and whenever you attend a Puerto Rican Mexican fight, it can get heated, as far as both nationalities go, because you're so passionate about what you're representing, and and the same thing for individual. They might just feel like, nobody, everybody, I'm being overlooked because of that. That's not fair. But also remember, controversy sells. So if he's talking about race and media is bringing it up, it's better for him. Now he's getting that publicity. Now people's talking about him. Could be a publicity stunt. That's just how you got to learn how to market yourself in boxing, man. Because if you're not marketable, if your name is not out there, it's hard for you to get fights.
Yeah, what do you make of that, Nick? Being more of an old school guy, guys who like to make controversial statements like bringing race into the issue. What do you think?
Well, I mean, ethnic rivalries have always been a big selling point. I mean, back when before TV. In New York, for instance, you had a Jewish fighter fighting an Italian or Irish. Always a big selling point in boxing early on, and it's played that way for a long time, whether it was under wraps but it's always been a big selling point. Here in Australia, this is almost a little bit different. They're debating about who is a real Aboriginal. So this is a little bit different than an ethnic type rivalry to me. So it's more like the Maniac was talking about, almost like a publicity kind of stunt, rather than putting one crowd against another as a selling point. So, but I think once the bell rings, they'll put that stuff aside and concentrate on what they got to do in the ring.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, this all happens, but then when the fight comes, it could be the great fight. It could be a tremendously boring fight after tremendous amounts of talk. I've saw plenty of them before. They're what you call stinkers and letdowns. Now, Daniel Geale is a very skilled fighter. He was a Commonwealth gold medalist. He did hold the IBO until he was beat by Anthony Mundine in that controversial decision. I will say that I'm not too angry about the decision. I did score it 7-5 to Mundine. I did have Mundine winning a lot of the last 4 or 5 rounds where the knockdown helped him in my favour. I think the knockdown put him 1 point ahead on my card. Now, Geale is a short, stocky middleweight at 5'10", and he has a typical Australian style. He likes to get involved. He likes to apply pressure. He likes to throw a lot of punches, similar to Katsibis and Danny Green and fighters like that. Mundine's more of an American-style fighter. He tends to stand on his back foot and let the fight come to him, and then he'll respond and counter to shots that come forward, and that was sort of the back and forth dynamic of the last fight. Mundine's happy to lead off. He is happy to be the aggressor if the fight is not happening at all and no one seems to be bringing it to him. But I don't think we have to worry about that too much in the Geale fight, because Geale comes and Geale he's willing to take one to land one. Now, stylistically, is it a case of which fighter makes it their fight in a fight like this, D, where it's quite evenly matched? Or do you see one fighter to have a big edging skill?
I see it pretty even. I mean, if you look at the first fight, no fighter, it was a close fight, and I think the second fight will be the same. It'll be close to the same thing. I just hope the winner comes and get a big fight here in America. We need to start seeing, the best fight the best, and right now, there's a bunch of people loving, Triple G, and Daniel Geale said if he wins this fight, he'll be willing to come to the U.S. and make a fight with Triple G. Now, how true that is, we don't know, but we're going to hold him to his word, and hopefully he get his ass over here and he fights the best, because that's what he needs to do. We know he went to hostile territory. He went to Germany, beat Sebastian Sylvester. Then he beat Felix Sturm in Germany. I mean, in Germany, just to get a draw, you need to knock their fighter out just to get a draw. And he went in Germany and beat Sturm. And to me, Macklin and Murray did a better job on Sturm. And both of them came out. One Macklin lost and Murray got a draw. So, Geale needs to come over here, prove himself. There's a lot of fights to be made at 160, and even if Mundine wins, there's fights for him. Come to the U.S. Let's start getting these fights going, man. That's what we want.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree, particularly with Matthew Murray, more so than Macklin. I think Martin Murray did a good job on Sturm, and I think it's quite harsh on him to give him the draw and deny him that world title, chance to have a world title. I think I actually scored the Sturm fight, 7-5 to Sturm. I went with the split. It was a split decision, a very, very close fight. I just think Sturm landed the cleaner, more accurate shots, where Geale tends to smother and throw a lot, and they're not as identifiable as some of the shots that Sturm was landing. Sturm's got a great jab. He's got a brilliant jab which he uses both for offense and to put his opponent on the back foot. Nick, what do you make of this fight? What's your prediction? Okay, sorry, we've not got Nick briefly. D, what's your prediction?
From seeing right now, since that first fight they had, I think Daniel Geale has improved better as a fighter, as a boxer. He's a better puncher right now, and I think Geale pulls it off. I think his streak keeps going, and he beats Mundine in another close fight. Split decision. I'm going split decision, Daniel Geale. Oh,
quite a specific prediction there. I'm I'm also going to go with that. I'm going to go with either the split decision, if not a split, a very, very close decision. The first fight was very, very hard fought, and it's arguably the best in Australian history. It was a brilliant fight. It was back and forth in terms of who was having the edge. There was a knockdown earlier. There was Gil throwing tremendous amount of shots. And there were certain rounds where Mundine had dominated the fight and slowed the pace down to work in his favour. There were moments where they were both just trading punches for the fun of it, and they were both happy to take punches. I think Gil's moved on more from that loss, and he's improved as a fighter, whereas Mundine has not only sort of stayed on the same level, but he seems to have dropped. He's got a lot of wins. He's not, I wouldn't say he's past his best, because he started late, and when fighters start late, they usually go on longer, like Bernard Hopkins, for example, like Sergio Martinez. These guys, they're not used up at an early age like a lot of fighters are by the time they're reaching the mid-30s sometimes, if not earlier in some cases. I'm going to go for Gil. Let's see if we've got Nick Bellafato. Nick, are you there?
Yes. Yeah, can you hear me?
Would you like to make a prediction on versus Gil? No, sorry. Gil versus Mundine.
I'll go with Gil. It's split decision as well. I mean, he got confidence in beating Sturm. He did. He figured out what he had to do. He did it. He executed. He worked. Sturm was a little bit conservative. Mundine's probably going to put more on him than Sturm, but I think he'll pick it up and he'll figure it out, do what he has to do, and come out on top. Unless Mundine can put some hurt on him at some point, I see Gil figuring out a way to win.
Yeah, we've not planned this, but since you're in it, I believe that you went to the Mikey Garcia Orlando Salido fight. So could we have a brief talk about that? How was the atmosphere?
No, actually, I didn't attend that one. The last one I was at was Matisse this weekend. I didn't make the Salido fight.
Oh, I apologize. You was at the Matisse fight?
That's correct.
Okay. I got mixed up. I got told you was at one of the fights. How was the Matisse fight? What lasted of it?
Well, the Hard Rock is always a great place to watch a fight. There's really not a bad seat in there. There's a few Argentinians there. They were obviously supporting Matisse. There's a few guys for Dallas Jr. Wasn't an overwhelming crowd. I'm sure there was a lot more enthusiasm from people watching at home. But, and of course it ended so quick. So not everybody had a chance to get in their seats and settle in and root for one guy or another. It just, it ended that quick. But all the other fights were pretty competitive. So it was a nice crowd. Again, the Hard Rock is a great place to watch a fight. Not a bad seat in the house, and I like the fights there.
Yeah. What do you make of Matisse moving forward? Do you believe this guy is the best at 140, and do you believe that Daniel Garcia is ducking him and also correct to duck him if he is?
Yeah, I believe he's the most dangerous. He's to me, he's like Golovkin at 160. I mean, you want to fight him, but actually signing a contract, you better be ready because, again, the most impressive thing about Matisse now is not he's already got the power. He's got these skills going on. He looks like he's getting better and better skill-wise. He's figuring out the game at the high and when he throws those skills in and combines with the power, he's a dangerous fighter.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with Matisse. We see him as a bull, as a beast. He comes forward. He's tremendously strong for a man of his size. He's got tremendous power in his shots, and he's skillful. He knows how to land the shot. He doesn't come forward and win, though. He's a methodical, calculated aggression. The only losses that he's got have been split decision losses that have gone 12 rounds against Zab Judah and Devon Alexander. These are world champions, ring technicians, and he's still got a split decision against them when the fight has gone 12 rounds, which shows that he's also got the skills, particularly against Zab Judah. I saw a lot of skills that I'd not saw from him previously, and that really impressed me because there were times when he was actually outboxing Zab Judah, and we all know how talented Zab Judah is when he's got his head screwed on. I think this guy's trouble. I think if people can go 12 rounds with this guy, fair play, but I still don't think that they're going to get the decision. I think this guy's really, really difficult to fight. D, do you believe that this guy would beat Garcia?
You see, this is one thing people forgetting. Medici hasn't been in the ring with a puncher, someone they could bring it like he can. We know Danny Garcia could bring it. You know, so that's why I'm eager to see this. I want to see how Medici reacts when he gets hit with something hard. We haven't seen that. Alexander, he does have pop, but he's not known for his pop. You know, Zab Judah has pop, but he's more of a, boxer. Those guys are more of a boxer, punchers. Danny Garcia has one-hitter quitter power. That power that he'll make you, put you to sleep early. Medici hasn't been in the ring with a fighter that possess that kind of power. People's forgetting that. So I'm eager to see this. I'm real eager to see if they fight. How does Medici handles Garcia power and vice versa? I don't want to take nothing from Medici because, yes, at 140, he's becoming an animal. I mean, just in boxing in general. And if Garcia doesn't fight him, which I'll be highly upset, Medici might have to start considering of maybe moving up to 147 if he can't get nothing at, at 140. Because, beating, just regular tough fighters is not going to do nothing for him, So, unless it's a fighter like maybe a Lamont Peterson, Kendall Holt winner. But, right now, nobody wants to see that. It's either Danny Garcia or just move up to 147 for Medici. But I want to see Medici in the ring with someone that could punch. He hasn't been in the ring with someone with power like that. People need to realize that.
Now, personally, I'd like to see him in the ring with any established top 10 composition. And at some point this year, I'd like to see him step in there for a title. I wouldn't mind him seeing against the winner of Lamont Peterson, Kendall Holt. I believe that he'd win and he'd win well. I think Lamont Peterson would give him a bit of trouble early on, but I don't think he'd last too long. If he did last, I still think he'd lose on points. I've got to disagree with you to somewhat. You are right when you say he's not getting a ring with a puncher, but he's took some big shots, and as far as I'm concerned, his chin's track proven. His last fight against the Jose Alucigen isn't known as a big puncher. He's got around a 50% knockout rate, but some of the shots that they was trading full on shots, and Matisse would run onto shots, he'd walk onto shots, and he'd get caught with Alucigen's full power, full right hands, full left hooks, and he just kept walking through it like a bull. Now, a guy with a known big punch may cause it different, but from what I've seen in Matisse, he looks like he can take a punch as good as he can throw one. But you are right, he isn't fully proven on his chin, but I don't think it's his chin that's the problem. I think someone is going to expose him eventually. I believe the fear factor is not going to go on for the rest of his career, like Jeff Lacer, like Gennady Golovkin might suffer at some point. And when the secret and the blueprint's out, then no longer is the threat still there. Do you see any other way that a guy could outbox Matisse? What sort of fighter would it take to win a 12-round decision and not get caught by Matisse?
The problem is with Matisse, he's similar to, remember Victor Ortiz, kind of a fighter who knocks pretty much every opponent down, but at the same time, Ortiz doesn't take a punch too well. Medici, on the other hand, yes, he showed the chin, but a Josie, you can't compare a Josie's power to Danny. Danny has that vicious power. You understand? It's not, if Danny hits you with that left hook, you're going to feel it. I don't care who you are. Not saying he's going to knock Medici out, but I guarantee he's going to have Medici looking like he had a couple of shots of Patron. He's going to give him the wobbly legs. He's going to look like he's dancing Spanish merengue. So I'm eager to see that fight. And I want to see how Medici handles Danny Garcia's power. And Danny Garcia, he could box on his toes. He hasn't shown it of lately, but he did it against Kendall Hope. At times, he did it in the Morales first fight. He can box. You know, if he can use it more along with that power he has, he's going to be deadly. Now, Medici, yes, he's been getting better as a fighter, but I think overall Danny Garcia is better in pretty much everything. I just think what Medici has over Danny is he has that caveman brute come forward, I want to rip your soul out mentality. Danny Garcia is not like that. He's more patient. He sit on punches. He's willing to trade with you. So is Medici. But Medici might walk into something, and he might not wake up, for another 10 hours. He might not wake up this Sunday morning if he gets hit with Danny. So it's a fight. It's a fight that, like I said, has fireworks written all over it. If it doesn't happen this year, it'll be a travesty for that fight not to happen. It'll be a slap in the face to us boxing fans. These guys are promoted by the same promoter. They've 1 and 2 arguably at the 140 division. Why not have these guys fight each other? Come on, this is what we need.
I completely agree, and I believe that they will fight each other this year. Or at least early next year. I just think it's stalling tactics. I think it's stalling tactics so the more money goes into the fighters' pockets, more money goes into the promoters' pockets. They're going to make us wait maybe a year and a half, maybe 9 months. But the fight's got to happen because Danny Garcia is young, but he wants to make himself a superstar. He wants to make himself a superstar, and stylistically, I would say that you're right to an extent. The kind of guy to beat Matisse isn't one to dance around the ring because they're not going to be able to get their own shots off, and you're not going to dance for 12 rounds with Matisse chasing after you like a bull at a red flag. It's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to land respectful shots on Matisse for him to actually take a step back or not put the pedal on as fast or forward. The kind of style that I see beating Matisse would be one which you stand on your back foot. Like an Anthony Mundine, as I said, you stand on your back foot, you lean back and you slip shots and you counter with big shots to make them respect you and stop them, make them think twice about running forward. I think Danny Garcia does have the power that Elise didn't and all the other fighters didn't. I think he has that one-punch power to put a guy down. And if he did put Matisse down earlier, who knows, maybe we'll see a change of heart. Maybe he won't be as much of a bull as we thought. Maybe it's because he's not been caught with that shot that he doesn't seem to have the fear because he doesn't know what it feels like. I don't know if he ever got knocked down as an amateur or anything like that. But, I think him standing on the back foot, catching with that big left hook that he done with Khan, the big left hook, because Khan walked onto the shot as well. Now, Matisse could do just the same thing. He could wait, and he, as you said, he's patient, he's methodical. He don't run forward. He lets the fight come to him. And I think stylistically he's a much, much better fighter than anyone else that Matisse's fought. Do you think Danny Garcia has the style to beat Matisse? Do you think that stylistically Garcia's got the advantage, or do you think because Garcia is quite a flat-footed fighter and doesn't move about that much, that Matisse could hunt him down easier and therefore make it a more beneficial fight for him?
No, absolutely. Danny Garcia has what it takes to beat Lucas Matisse stylistically. Now, it's not. Danny doesn't have an extreme advantage over Medici because, like you said, Danny Garcia is a flat-footed fighter, but he can move. He showed at times he can move. If he can do that with the power he has, his chances are great against Medici. He can really, really put some work in Medici. But, this would be another fight where Danny is going to have, the odds stacked against him. Medici's going to come forward. Medici, he's going to disrespect Danny. He's going to say, listen, there's no way he could take my power. And he's going to come forward. And I think that's what could be Medici's downfall. Now, if Medici comes in with more of a, aggressive, but also a passive kind of style where he's not too aggressive, then that's perfect. I think he has to pick his points when to attack Danny and when not to. You know, if he just comes forward all night, then he's going to be in trouble. Same thing happened with Amir Khan. Amir Khan, to me, was winning that fight against Danny. He was, landing, the shots. He was winning on points. It was still a good fight, but Amir Khan was too aggressive. And what happened? He went to sleep. Danny finally caught him with that left hook. He just wasn't patient enough. And I think Matisse knows that. I think he will respect Danny's power, but to a certain extent. He will say, okay, you have to hit me with something to make me respect it. Now, if Danny lands flush on Matisse and Matisse just walks forward, then this guy, that's it. He's the ultimate machine. He's the Terminator. That'll be his nickname, the Terminator. And nobody's going to want him to fight him.
Oh, well, of course, I've been quite tough on Danny Garcia, to be fair. He has impressed time after time after time. Promoters haven't given him the showcase it deserves. They finally do, and he's proved it again. He's winning by knockouts. Just to clarify your position, you're talking about Danny Garcia flattening Matisse with a big shot. Now, I just want to get your perspective on it. Do you see Matisse having a big possibility of knocking Danny Garcia out? Because, of course, he is the knockout king in that division, but you seem to be framing what you're saying in a way that makes you think that because Matisse is a bull-like mentality and because he comes forward, it's much more likely that Danny Garcia will catch him with the big left hook or a big right hand and send him to the canvas and slow him down, if not stop him in that instance. Do you see this as a case of Danny Garcia waiting to land the big shot, or do you see it as a case of the first guy that lands a big shot has the ball in their favour?
It's very possible. But what I've seen from both fighters, look, at the end of the day, this fight is 50-50. I don't really see no huge advantage for either fighter. I just stated who I think has advantages, but that doesn't mean nothing once they're in the ring. They might not use those advantages, or they just might not, have the ability at that time to do what they want to do. Because you have a Matisse, there's a come-forward fighter. Danny might say, you know what? He might get courage and say, you know what? I'm going to just brawl with this guy. I don't care. And that might be his downfall. Instead of moving around box, picking his spot. Same way with Matisse. I think both of them have to have the similar game plan going into that fight. Because if Matisse just, says, you know what, and gets hit with something, that might be over. And same thing with Danny. Danny might get hit with something from Matisse, that right hand, and it might be over for Danny. It's a fight that we could break it down for hours. We could go for hours talking about this fight and back and forth and who hits harder and who does this better. But at the end of the day, it needs to happen. And that's the bottom line. And if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna personally run into the Golden Boy office and hold De La Hoya hostage myself. Because this is a fight. He will really see the maniac for real. They call me that for a reason.
I will make a disclaimer that the views shared by D aren't necessarily the views shared by myself and Real Combat Media in terms of holding Oscar De La Hoya hostage. We're going to take a caller and see what he thinks. Hello, you're live on the air on Real Combat Media. How's it going?
Yep.
Hello? What's your name and where you from? Yep.
It's from the BX.
Who is this?
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to try once again in a minute, mate. We couldn't quite hear you. You're gonna have to clear up your line, and we'll come back to you in a minute. Now, D.
Yeah.
What should both chins hold up? Because we've got nothing to suggest that either one of them has got a bad chin or a dodgy chin, because neither of them have really been put down and knocked out in the pro career. Now, presuming that both of the chins hold up, despite the fact that they've both got such big punches, who would you say would actually go the 12 rounds? Who do you think's got the favourites to go the distance and win a 12-round fight?
That's a great question, John. Danny they both show good chins so far. But what I've noticed is that Danny Garcia, he cuts easily. We've seen it in the Khan fight. We've seen it in the first Morales fight. So I think if a Medici Danny Garcia fight becomes an all-out slugfest, the advantage Medici, because I can see Danny's face swelling up. Maybe eyes shut, maybe, nose bleeding. And that might affect him as the fight goes on, depending how early in the fight that happens. If it does happen, if his eye gets shut, or if, his nose is swollen, or, whatever, if he got a cut above his eye, that could play a huge, huge role on who wins that fight. Because they might stop it, not because Danny's getting beat up, just because the cut is too bad from a punch, because he bleeds easy or he swells easy. So yeah, if it's a all out war, and it's both chins are holding up, I gotta go to features, and Medici's features look stronger than Danny's. I haven't really seen Medici cut yet or swollen, and Danny does. He eats them. He eats them like morning breakfast, those punches they give him, but he bleeds, and he swells up. So that could be the difference, in the fight as it goes down the stretch.
Yeah, should it go 12 rounds, I'd say Matisse. I'd say we've seen less flaws from him than we have with Garcia. Now, Garcia's won pretty much every fight with a great performance, but as we say, he's flat-footed, and he's not the quickest to fight. He's got a big punch, and he's a very tough game fighter, but against the right fighter, I think he would get exposed, but we don't know that Matisse is the right fighter, and that's the great thing about this fight. It's very, very close. It is practically right down the middle. You could give it 60-40 either way, but I give Matisse the edge in the fight. I think if it goes 12 rounds, Matisse got it on the boxing ability alone. I think a knockout could go either way. Now, we're going to try and get a caller and see what they've got to say about the situation.
Okay.
Hello, you're live on Real Combat Media. What's your name and where you from? Okay, you didn't want to talk to us. We'll try another caller.
Hello?
Hello, you're live on Real Combat Media.
Yo, I was just listening, man.
Yeah, how you doing, man? Who's this?
Yo, what's up, Boogie Down, man? It's the boy Corey CMD, man. I'm always following you on Twitter. I really don't get it.
Yeah. Corey, what's going on, Playboy?
What's good, man? Look, I just heard you on the other on the other show yesterday. You shouted out that you got a show on Mondays, and it's a little easier for me to listen live. So I said, I got in on the conversation kind of late, man. So
we was talking about the Danny Garcia Medici fight, and we just pretty much breaking it down on both ends, and we want to know what's your thoughts on that fight, and who you think will win.
Man, that's a great style matchup. One thing I noticed when I saw the Matisse fight over the weekend is Matisse showed a little bit of ring smart, because he definitely had the disadvantage in terms of speed, height, and reach. He had a lot of disadvantages. So I don't think, we look at Matisse as more of a brute fighter, somebody that's coming in, he's trying to take your head off, but I think he's a little bit more cerebral. He proved he's a little bit more cerebral and uses head a little bit more than what we actually see him as. I mean, he timed Mike Dallas, man. And
good point.
And that's the same thing that Danny Garcia does. He has a tendency he'll be on the losing end when it comes to speed, but he has a timing ability that's uncanny, and it would be interesting to see how. I think it would be more of a thinking fight more than, just an all-out brawl, man. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah. You make a good point. Medici is getting better with every fight, which makes it scarier to go with that power. But who
got the height advantage?
Danny Garcia.
Danny got
I don't know. Not by much. They both kind of small. I met Danny Garcia. I'm about 5'9", 5'10", maybe 5'10". He's smaller than I am. So, but Medici is short. I think Medici's I don't really just want to make. I think he's somewhere around 5'7", 5'8", probably. So I don't think it's a huge.
I can see Matisse getting caught coming in by Danny, man. I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah. I can see Matisse coming in, trying to land a big right hand and getting caught by like a nice short left hook, Now, can he withstand? I thought a Jose Lucy gun was hitting Matisse with some bombs in that fight. I thought he was hitting him with some pretty hard shots, and it seemed like Matisse withstood a lot of that power. So I'm not sure if I think the only way Matisse goes down is he get caught literally with something he didn't see. Other than that, man, I think he got a solid chin. And I'm being honest with you. For me, it's a pick 'em fight, man.
It is. It definitely is a pick 'em fight. But gun to your head, who you picking? You got to pick one. Danny Medici.
Gun to my head, I think I'm gonna go with Matisse, man.
All right.
I think I'll go with him because, he ain't wearing his silk pajamas right now. Danny got them silk pajamas on right now, man. Like Bernard says, Danny living the life of I'm a champion, superstar boxer. I'm on TV. We saw the emotion come out of Matisse on that fight, man. He fought Mike Dallas, and okay, whatever. But it goes to show you, he feel like he's the underdog. He feel like he's getting overlooked. He feel like he deserves more than what he's getting. So when he get in that ring, he's going in there to win that fight without a shadow of a doubt. Once you get somebody take the decision from you and things like that, you go into that fight with a different mindset. He's thinking, I gotta knock this guy out. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's gonna be the difference. I think it's gonna boil down to skill set. My bad. It's gonna boil down to who's the hungrier fighter that night. And in my opinion, Matisse is the hungrier fighter right now, and he knows that Danny don't want to fight him. So if he get that shot, he's gonna have to take care of business, man. So I'm going with
I agree, man. You made very good points, Corey, man. Thanks for calling up, man. Thanks for the support. I shout you out every morning.
Yeah,
you my dude. It's been love since day one, and look forward. Every Mondays, man. Call up, man. We here for you, so you can voice your opinion, man. You made real good points, man, and
no doubt, man.
Hopefully
I'm on it.
Yeah.
All right, my bad, man. To your co-host, man. My bad. I don't even know. I don't know the boy.
I'm the co-host. My man Boxing John UK is the host.
Okay,
so
Boxing John UK. That's what's up, man. Shout out to you, homie. I'm glad you're doing this Monday. I was hoping somebody came up with a Monday show, man, because that's a little bit better for me, man.
Yeah, so now you have it and you already know. So listen, Corey, I see you, Playboy. Have a good night, and I look forward to speaking with you next Monday.
All right, man.
All right.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Corey. That was a great addition to the show. We're more than happy to have you next week if you want to call every week. And we'll possibly even get you on for longer, but we're running short of time. We have to move on now. We're going to talk about the WBA former champion, Felix Sturm, hoping to get a chance to win another world title in an IBF eliminator against the 39-year-old veteran Sam Solomon now. Felix Sturm comes in with a record of 37 for 3 for 2, and Solomon has got a record of 42 for 11 now. What do you make of this? Do you see this to be a completely one-sided fight, or do you think Solomon's still got something in him?
Well, Solomon, he's coming in. It's about 7-fight win streak. Against limited opposition. He's old fighter. But this is a big opportunity for him. This might be, his last opportunity. And he's against Felix Sturm. And looking at Felix Sturm's last couple of fights, he hasn't been looking well. Now, he did crush Sebastian Bick. He won that fight, easily. But before, the Gale fight, the Murray fight, the Macklin fight, just not the same Sturm we used to seeing. But I still like Sturm in this fight. He wins, and he takes care of business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I see Solomon as a C-level fighter. Whenever he's had that shot to take him to the elite of the sport, he's not really been able to convert it into a victory. He's fought twice against Mundine for the WBA super middleweight title when Mundine had that belt quite a few years ago. He's also fought the likes of Sakio Bika and Winky Wright, but he's not been able to beat any of these guys and actually convincingly put himself up there. And he still continues at 39 to try and do that. And I think it would be unfair to say that he's past it. He's won his last 7 fights, I believe. And he's 39, but, he's continuing to march forward. But, Sturm's a different kettle of fish. Sturm's a really skillful fighter. He's very seasoned, very skilled. He's got great all-round ability. He's a well-rounded fighter. He's a 3-time world champion. And his most recent reign lasted since around 2007, since he beat Javier Castillo from Spain. Stylistically, how do you see this fight going, D? Do you see this as a case of Sam Solomon's got to get involved, get inside and throw bombs, and Sturm's trying to work at a distance? Is that how you see it, simple as that?
Yeah, whenever you fight Sturm in Germany, you're walking on glass, barefooted. It's just you have to go for the gusto. He has to go in there and Hiroshima Sturm, bombs away. He has to bombs away. If not, he's not going to outbox Sturm. And if it's a close fight, we already know how it is in Germany. You're not going to come away with the win. Yes, Daniel Gale got it. No other fighter is going to get another decision over Sturm in Germany. And Solomon is not. So if he doesn't go in there, with the aggressive approach, it's not going to happen. He's not going to win that fight. Sturm, like you said, he's fundamentally sound, even though, he's not the same fighter he used to be, but I just don't see Solomon having enough in the tank to beat Sturm at that in Germany. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree. Stylistically, I don't think Solomon's going to get anywhere near Sturm, personally. I think he's about 5'8", and Stern's about 5'11". It's like a 3-inch height difference. He's probably got an equal amount of arm length distance. I still don't think Solomon's past it, but I think even at his very, very prime, 25 years old, 28 years old, he's not going to get involved with Sturm. He's not going to be able to get inside the jab, because Sturm throws a terrific jab. He's got such a fast jab, and he uses the jab to keep his opponent off balance. I think Solomon, I'm not going to hold too much in the judges and in the having to get a knockout. I think this fight could be happening anywhere and Sturm will get the victory. I think people are a bit unfair on Sturm. Despite the fact that he has had a few controversial decisions go his way, like the Murray and the Macklin, I still think he's a really good A-grade fighter, if not an A- fighter. And I think he's going to keep Solomon confused and on the back foot for 12 rounds and win a very big unanimous decision. What's your call, Dave?
Yeah, it's a unanimous decision for Sturm. If not, maybe a late stoppage. I could see him even stopping Solomon late in this fight. But I'm going to go with a unanimous decision, Sturm. Absolutely. He gets another title shot.
Do you see Sturm having another shot at getting a winning a rematch against Geel, or a win against Peter Quillen, or a win against these top guys? Do you think he could win the title for a fourth time?
It's very possible. The Gale fight was a tough fight. It's not like Gale dominated him and, won by a landslide, which, like I said earlier, I felt Macklin out of Murray, Gale, out of them three, I felt Macklin won the most convincingly. In fact, he's the one that lost, out of them three, because Murray got the draw, Gale got the win. And it's possible, depending, how Gale looks after this Mundine fight. Or I would love to see a Stern Peter Quillen. That's a fight that'd be good. But the problem is, we know Stern, he gets a lot of money in Germany, and is he willing to travel? I know Peter Quillen will not go to Germany to fight a Felix Stern unless the money is ridiculous, which that's not going to be the case. He's not going to go. His advisors are not going to let him go to Germany to fight a Stern. I would like to see Stern in the U.S. I know he got discouraged when he got robbed in the Oscar De La Hoya fight, but I just think Stern should just say, you know what, F all this, I'm going to go to the U.S. and I'm going to prove to everybody that I'm still the top, if not the best 160-pound fighter in the world. He has to prove it. We know Sergio is number one. But, if Stern could come here in the U.S., beat up someone like a Peter Quillen. I mean, he's been ducking Triple G since God knows how long. You have Macklin over here. Macklin, a rematch with Macklin in the Garden Theater would do great. I was at the Sergio Macklin fight. It was a great crowd. So if Stern wants to get back in the mix, he needs to come to the U.S. and fight a top 160-pound fighter. Now,
I completely agree. And what I'd say about that is now he's not got the belt, people aren't forced to come to him to try and win the title. Now the ball's in his court, and I think besides the Golovkin and the Martinez, I think the Sterminator can go over to America and take most of the guys. He'd have a good shot against Quillen. I'd even give him the edge against Quillen from what I've seen from Quillen. I think he's a really good, well-rounded technical fighter, which you tend to get from Europe. He's a real all-round fighter. He's been taught the fundamentals very well. I'd predict Stern probably to win a decision against the most fighters besides the Golovkin or a Martinez. Now, let's move on to the upcoming fights that we have soon. Now, besides the fights that we've covered, we've also got light middleweight action as Carlos Molina takes on the former world champion Corey Spinks. On the undercard, a 39-year-old Jose Luis Castillo continues his long eventful career. In the light middleweight division, would you believe, he's fighting at 154 pounds for the first time against the younger Antoine Smith. February 2nd sees two-weight world champion Juan Manuel Lopez from Puerto Rico taking on Aldemir Silva Santos in his third consecutive fight in his homeland of Puerto Rico. In Berlin, the European light heavyweight championship is on the line when Edward Gutnecht defends it. Andre Durrell also takes on Milton Nunes in Texas this weekend. Also, looking slightly further ahead, on February 22nd, the IBF light welterweight title is on the line, where Lamont Peterson takes on Kendall Holt in the DC Armour in Washington, D.C. Now, I'd like to make an apology to guys who was looking forward to a Mikey Garcia interview. We had technical issues, but I'm sure he'll be able to come and speak to us next week if we make that connection, and of course we'd love to. Just to touch on Mikey Garcia, like I would have liked to earlier. I was thinking, and I've had a chance to reflect on this victory. He's beat the guy who's a good shout for the number one featherweight. I'm looking at this guy and I'm thinking future Hall of Fame. Like, I know it's a bit soon to say the guy's had one world title fight, but what do you make of that prediction? Because he's 25 and he's got everything needed.
From what we saw from Mikey Garcia, we showed a fighter who, in his first world title fight, didn't look like he was in his first world title fight. He looked like he was in his fifth world title fight, defending it for the fifth time. He treated Salido like a Mr. Potato Head. He just picked them apart piece by piece. It was just, he put on a marvelous show. I mean, the poise he showed for a young fighter, the power he showed against a fighter with a solid chin. It was incredible to see what Mikey Garcia did to a fighter like Salido. He didn't fight a bum. He didn't fight a Mickey Mouse fighter. He fought Salido, who you know is resilient, that comes forward and brings it. And he put a whooping on him.
I think it's crazy the way he actually dominated Salido. It's completely through. The featherweight was quite an open division anyway. There wasn't necessarily a guy who had the legitimate full-on claim to being the number one fighter like there is in most divisions. Even though he did beat Lopez, he was arguably the number one. But the way he's like completely opened up the division even more, because although he completely dominated Salido, like he was a top 10 fighter at the time, but he just completely walked in the division, knocked on the door and said, okay, I'm the number one, now you've got to beat me. But it's difficult for us to say that for a guy that's just won a world title. Now the ball's in his court and he's the guy to beat. So he's still going to be a young 25-year-old fighter going out trying to search for these guys, when maybe he's the guy that everyone else wants to be searching for. But what I will say is the maturity, the actual tactical maturity, is so tactically aware of what goes on in the ring. And the craft as well. He's got craft like Andre Ward. He uses the right amount of footwork to keep away, but not to waste energy. He doesn't bounce or he doesn't dance like a lot of fighters. Even the great fighters still did. They still wasted energy, but he conserves energy. He's mature. Even though he got 2 knockdowns early on in the fight, he's still, you've not saw yet, but you will see in the interview, he believes a lot that he's got to keep tactically aware, keep patient, and keep plodding forward. Now, I see this guy as a future Hall of Famer. What do you predict? Multiple weight classes? Do you predict multiple titles in this guy's future?
It's pretty, it's a pretty long shot. And it's a bold statement, but I mean, it's hard to argue if he's gonna, put performances like this that he's not a future Hall of Famer. Time will tell. I'm not gonna go that far, but the guy, he looks really good, man. I was always high on Mikey Garcia. I had him to beat Salido. No way I had him to knock him down 5 times. But from what I've seen from him before Salido, you just see it in him. This guy, he just has it all. Like you said, he doesn't waste energy bouncing around. He's calm. He throws great combinations. He has power. The guy just has it all, man. And right now, he can even campaign at 130. He even mentioned a fight with Gamboa. Is that a fight Gamboa wants? We don't know. But Mikey Garcia, the sky's the limit for him, along with a great, trainer and his brother, Robert Garcia. So, much credit to them as a family right now. And, Mikey Garcia is only going to get better. He's a very humble fighter. He doesn't walk around with a big head. He just has
D, I'm going to have to stop you here. We've got 2 minutes left, so I'm going to give you last chance to say your goodbyes and have a shout-out, give your Twitter handle.
All right. I want to give a shout-out to everybody that called up, everybody that listened. If we didn't get you on this show, man, we'll definitely get you on next week. And you already know, it's the Boxing Maniac. You can follow me at Boogie Down Sean. Give me a shout-out. Follow me. I follow you. I'll give you your morning shout-outs. Boxing Maniac shout-outs. And, once again, thanks for listening to our show. This is just our 2nd episode. We're going to only get better. And don't worry, man. We got it locked for you guys, man. This is for you. This is for the listeners.
Okay, guys, it's time to bring our 2nd episode to an end. Thank you to both Jonathan Banks and Mikey Garcia. Once again, this is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at www.realcombatmedia.com. Also follow us at Real Combat Media on Twitter. Like us on Facebook at realcombatmedia.com. One last shout out to the RCM store. We've got hemp protein. We've got instructional videos. We've got the Alpha Brain, which opens up your intellectual channels and allows you to think very clearer. We've got the Elevation Match, which is great. It's being used by a lot of fitness enthusiasts and top sports people to thin the air. So it produces more white blood cells and allows you to go on longer when you come back to a normal climate. But for now, we're out of time, so take care until next time. I've been John, your host. I'll see you next week.